When I was growing up, my granddaddy always used to say, no news must be good news because bad news travels fast. Well, these days it feels like it's traveling at breakneck speed. Almost 6 million cases of coronavirus, almost 200,000 deaths, and these disproportionately impact black and brown communities who are already dealing with the issues of racial discrimination and health disparities before COVID. But there's another virus that's disproportionately impacting black, brown, and poor communities: the virus of illiteracy, the inability to read and write, and the virus of semi-literacy, meaning I can write my name, but I probably can't fill out a job application. Sure, I can check my text messages, but I can't read Angela Davis or Amos Wilson, or maybe even a food label. If I'm semi-literate, it's likely I can't even read my child a bedtime story. And this starts early, when we send our most vulnerable children to school districts that are under-resourced in communities that have been neglected by local and national governments. For example, Ferguson, Missouri. Many of us are familiar with the story of Michael Brown, the unarmed teenager that was killed there by a policeman in 2014. Well, we know the story of his death, but what about his life? The fact that every year from the time he started kindergarten until the time he graduated high school, he attended a failing school. In fact, his school district was so pitiful that his junior year of high school, they lost their accreditation. Well, a school district without accreditation is like a school bus without gas. It can have all the children on board, but it's not going to move forward. And last year, our nation's report card showed us dismal results. Only 1 out of 3 children is considered proficient reader at the 4th grade, the 8th grade, or the 12th grade level. And these weak readers don't automatically, magically become wonderful readers when they reach 18. That's probably why in America today, 1 out of 5 adults is considered functionally illiterate. Almost as if black, brown, and poor children are being cycled through schools, but the reality of a living wage may not be in their future. And yes, I'm familiar with this trend of using justice as a landscape. The health oasis, the medical oasis, the food desert. But I'm not talking about a food desert. I'm talking about an educational apartheid zone. Apartheid, that's how critical this issue is. And this is not an inner city issue or a rural issue. This is a national issue with national implications. I mean, how does a struggling reader know to fill out a census form or a ballot? The virus of illiteracy is serious, and it requires a systematic approach with a method that is proven to be effective. And for that, we might just have to take a page out of Cuba's playbook. Yes, Cuba. 1950s Cuba, their illiteracy situation was similar to what we have today in terms of the numbers. 1 out of 5 adults wasn't able to read. In some communities, nearly 50% of the adults couldn't pass a basic literacy test. But in 1961, revolutionary Cuba, it started a plan and initiative to make sure every adult was able to read and write with the goal of reaching 1 million adults. And 300,000 children and adults, young, old, from all walks of life, became literacy teachers. They served, and in that span of time, almost 700,000 people learned to read. And those who couldn't during that time period, there was follow-up. And in fact, in 1970s, Cuba started to export educators. And by 1998, they had developed a program called Yo Si Puedo, or Yes I Can. It's a program that uses numbers to help develop letter knowledge. Why is that important? Because starting in 2003, since that time, over 10 million people around the globe have learned to read with Yo Si Puedo. 20 different languages, 30 different countries that can access this program, but we can't because of a blockade. The blockade prevents us from taking advantage of what very might well be our antidote for illiteracy in this country. You see, a blockade it's like an invisible wall, but only Congress can tear down. Congress that represents you, the people. And as an educator, it'd be a dream to be able to go into any school, community center, or prison and ask somebody, hey, can you read this? And every single person say, yes, I can. Yo si puedo. And that's a possibility, but it's going to take all of our efforts. It's going to take work. So join the fight. Join the fun. This Sunday, Silvio Rodriguez will be talking through, in his own words, about what his experience was like being a literacy teacher in 1961. Hot House Global and the Literacy Project have teamed up to premiere this film about Silvio that's going to be accompanied by musical artists from around the world paying tribute to Silvio, the artist, the humanitarian, and the activist. And we're going to be talking about ways to end the blockade, so maybe one day we can consider having Yo si puedo here as a way to combat the virus. I mean, let's not wait until we're on a ventilator to learn about Cuba's cures. And Sunday, come ready to dance. Come ready to laugh little, learn a lot. I mean, hey, it's Hot House. We don't just do music. We're a movement.